You're talking about the time because it's time. Okay. Call the meeting to order, regular council meeting for May the 5th, 2026 at 6:30. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quick roll call. Councilmember Ray Abbott. Present. Councilmember Spears.
Present.
Councilmember Wilbur.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Councilmember Harbolt.
Here.
Councilmember Ted Olson is asking to be excused for a family medical issue.
We'll move. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Passed unanimously. Also, Councilmember Chad Pritchard is asking to be excused. It is STEM night. And he is needed at, I think, the middle school. Asking to be excused.
Move to excuse. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we won't make him come back. No, very good.
It's gonna be over.
Looking for approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved as submitted. Opportunity for interested citizen comment. Anyone online? See anyone in person? We'll ask again, is there anyone online that's wanting to comment? There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting, for the end of the meeting. Last call. All right, we'll move on from that. We have announcements, proclamations, and special presentations. I have none. Is there anything to add? Okay, thank you. Moving on to reports, committee reports, council comments. Councilmember Ray Abbott, any report?
I do not. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Spears.
I do. Since I missed last meeting, I have a couple to catch up on. Before last meeting, I had the opportunity to go to Washington, DC on behalf of the STA for American Transportation Association conference, but then also it was like a legislative flyover double up. So we got to talk about the service reauthorization bill, which is what funds all of transit. We talked to Senator Patty Murray for like over an hour. It was all of the transit agencies from the entire state of Washington. So it was great. She went around the room, asked every agency, good, bad, and if they had any gripes. So we all pushed the reauthorization of the transportation bill, which is going to expire in September. It's probably not going to get repassed. They're going to extend it like they always do. We also got to talk to, so we talked to Patty Murray. We talked to Representative Baumgartner's staff about some of the same issues. We also talked to him individually as STA about the new Division Street BRT project. Congress has allocated the 82 million, or they've set it aside. They haven't awarded it because we haven't gone through and got all the check marks yet. So the STA voted last week to put a ballot initiative on there to renew the 0.2 cent sales tax for continuation of service at the STA. So that will be utilized to maintain service levels. Since the last 10 years, 10 years ago, the voters voted to establish a 0.2 cent sales tax addition with a 10-year sunset so that we could roll out the Connect Spokane plan, STA moving forward plan. So that was the plan that is finishing right now with the curbs that are getting forward in town. That's the last step, the last check mark. And so now that we have Connect 2035, we've published the plan, and we're asking for the voters to make that 0.2 cent permanent. Or no, sorry, with a 20-year sunset. 20-year sunset. That was the compromise that the board came through between accountability and dependability, was a 20-year sunset. And then that way we can tell the Federal Transit Agency that we can fully fund all of the maintenance for Division Street BRT after it gets rolled out in 2030. That'll give us about 18 years of operating costs for Division Street BRT. And that will help our rating because then we can show them that we can afford it, afford the upkeep. So that's coming down the pipe. It's going to be on the August ballot. We'll be pushing out social media and everything, education. If anybody has any questions about the budget or any of the financials or anything like that, feel free. If anybody sees this online, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to the customer service desk at STA. We have a lot of great presentations. We're going to meet with people. We've met with some business leaders. We've met with other municipalities, and we want to explain what the numbers are and how it's going to be good for the region. So we got that. And then there's one other thing.
Is it just a simple majority vote?
Oh, for the ballot initiative, it was 7-2. So everyone except for the 2 county
I mean,
commissioners.
when it's on the ballot, it's not a super majority like school bonds or anything
No.
like that. It's just a simple majority.
Simple,
vote.
sales tax allocation for transit is just a simple majority.
Okay,
So,
very good.
yeah, so we're excited about that. And I think that's it. I'm going to go to Salt Lake in 2 weeks. So the 17th to the 20th for it's the APTA transportation conference, but I'm actually going to go and look with Commissioner French about transit oriented development, which is City of Spokane is doing a really good job changing their codes around transit corridors to increase business density and housing density right along those transit corridors. It's an initiative that the state and the federal government really encourages. So we're going to go see how they do it in Salt Lake because they're super successful, and try to get some good ideas to come back to kind of wrap around Division Street BRT and the city line.
Okay.
So I'll have some report from that.
Anything else?
I'm sure there's more, but I will let you move on. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilbur,
Not this time.
Councilmember Kennedy,
No report.
Councilmember Herbold.
No report.
All right, thank you so much. My report, just meeting with staff and then also Spokane County elected officials, also reviewing comp plan work and hearing public comment, and it's just a lot happening there. And so we continue to do that work and it's moving forward. You'll hear more about that tonight as we continue to stay on track with our plan. I did reach out to Spokane County Emergency Management and asked if they would coordinate a pre-wildfire tabletop preparation for us with for our elected officials, but then also for our partner agencies in the community like DSHS and the school district and Fire District 3 and emergency management. And so that request did go out, and I haven't heard anything if that's been scheduled, but I'm hoping to get that aligned here pretty quick. And then we have a meeting coming up. Insurance Commissioner Kerr has scheduled for May 20th. That will be here in City Hall. That's going to be opportunity for the community, and especially those maybe who are impacted by the wildfires, to come and talk about legislative changes that she is bringing to the state, and also to hear from those in the community about their experience with their insurance companies and challenges that they had in the post-fire rebuild and those sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to that. It was really great that she's going to come here. There is a meeting, Fire District 4 in Deer Park is having also a community-wide meeting, and there is going to be a little more robust. They have the Vista and DNR and conservation and a lot of other groups are going to be there. So I'm hoping maybe our Fire District 3 will kind of pattern after that too. Theirs is scheduled. I can get that for you. I just received the email. So we'll share that out with our community too, if anybody wants to attend that. And then this Thursday, May 7th at 7 o'clock, we have all the pastors from our community coming, meeting at the front steps of City Hall, but we'll host that right here on Hancock and block up that road and give each one of those pastors an opportunity to pray for our city and our nation. And so it'll just last for 1 hour from 7 to 8. And so all of our pastors in our community agreed to come. So it should be nice, nice thing to do. So that's all that I have off the top of my head. Sunny, what's the problem?
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. May 21st is what the Spokane County Emergency Management, just
Thank you so
later
much.
this afternoon, May 21st, 10:30 to noonish, I think is the time, but so tentatively, it sounds like that's where the partners are available and
Is that-
we were looking at hosting it here. Yeah,
Oh, thank you so
yeah,
much.
DSHS through Spokane County Emergency Management and Fire District 3. So that's still in works, but those are the details that we know
Okay,
right now. So
Yeah.
we'll share that as soon as we get it finalized. But for my report, a couple things to share with you. One, you'll probably notice that Koss is not here tonight. And I just wanted to let you know that he is at the AWC Labor Relations Institute in Wenatchee. That's being held this week, and AWC's Labor Relations Institute is the premier training event for public sector human resources and labor relations professionals. And we're committed to, as a city, to adjusting our strategies and updating our practices and refining our service delivery as conditions and needs and expectations change and evolve to ensure that we serve our community effectively and responsibly. So it's exciting for him to be able to do that. I know as the president of the Eastern Washington Finance Officers Association, their conference was always at the same time. And so it was troubling, but there was a number of other folks who wear the HR hat as well as the finance hat. And so they made the change this year to move that back a week so they could participate. So that's where he is tonight. And while we're talking about costs, in front of you is the 2025 draft annual report for your review. He just wanted to get that to you well in advance. We'll be asking for your approval at the May 19th meeting for that. So this just gives you ample time to review that. So the report providing that ahead of scheduled action gives you the chance to read the document thoroughly, prepare questions, seek clarification as needed prior to considering your approval. So happy to take those calls and answer any questions you may have as you look over that. A few other things just on the schedule. Shred Day. City invites residents to take advantage of the free document shredding event on this Friday, May 8th from 9 a.m. to noon. It's going to be in the City Hall parking area. The event provides a convenient and secure way to dispose of sensitive and personal documents while helping reduce identity theft and clutter at home. And community members are encouraged to bring paper documents that need safe disposal and enjoy the easy drive-up service offered at no cost. And then on Saturday, city cleanup and green up. So that will take place Saturday, May 9th, with opportunities for residents to help spruce up the community and prepare for spring. Green up activities are in addition. So we'll have the dumpsters down at Waterfront Park for the free dump day scenario. That's from 8 a.m. until noon. But the green up was something that from council's comments, doing after action reviews, that we would add to the mix. Those activities will begin at 8 a.m. at Pioneer Park and Wilcox Park, where volunteers will be invited to assist with park staff to help clean up the parks and spread bark in the playground areas. And then again, the dumpsters will be available from 8 a.m. to noon at Waterfront Park to support community cleanup efforts. And then lastly, on Sunday is Mother's Day. So we just want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the moms and grandmoms and mother figures who care and support and inspire us every day. We thank you for your strength and compassion and the countless ways you show up for your families and our communities. And that's all that I have for now. Plenty more to talk about.
Yeah.
In the agenda.
Lots more words coming. Next, we'll then move to Dave Uhas, our code enforcement officer. He's going to give us a Q1 report on his good work.
So great. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. How you all doing?
Good.
Weather's beautiful out there. You gonna put it up for me?
Yeah, it is,
Technical difficulties. So what have I been up to since I saw you last? It's been busy. Had a lot going on. And let's see if I can click this slide. It'll let me.
it's a down button, I think it's the one you want to push it.
There we go. All right, so 16% of them resulted in violation letters out of the 61 cases for the first quarter. A lot of others. And a lot of the others, if you'll notice on this category, I added the business category because I spoke to you about that last time. I was going to be looking into possible illegal businesses in Medical Lake. That was self-initiated activity. It wasn't something that, I had a moment and I started to find time to do that. And then I lost time. And so I have since had to move away from that. But I looked into about 7 of them, and 7 of them were legitimate, being that 4 of them had licenses already. 3 of them were just old businesses that were from a long time ago, and they never changed their Google page. So it just showed the business here, which that's fine. We're okay with that. Be great if they'd actually had the business here. We want more of those. Vacant property has been something I've been working on, and that's going to be kind of a highlight going forward here in the next few weeks for me. Animal related scraps things tend to always come up. I'm always dealing with vicious animal bites, and we're seeing it on Facebook, and it's common. I would love it if we could maybe collaborate with them a little bit better in the future, kind of get a feel for what they need from us to do a better job for us down the road. Oh, is it a mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I thought you were doing that. It's really annoying. That's me. And then obviously the majority is always property cases. So currently I have a few of them that are on watch, and then a few that are still open. Some that are probably going to be closed here coming up, which I had, some cases just recently closed, which was nice. Clicking down. Maybe. Can you get it for me? There you go. All right, move. Oh no, back one more. Sorry. All right, focus on voluntary compliance or escalation in formal enforcement actions. That's kind of a goal. I want to give people a chance. But I'm finding also that if I'm the nice guy and I start off by calling him or writing him an email instead of sending him the violation letter first, because the violation letter starts the legal process, and that just gives them a hard line 30 days. And sometimes cases are kind of in a gray area where it's like, does that need that? Should I just call him or reach out to him? And I found that if I do just reach out to him and I call him, sometimes that bites me, and then it extends the case out further, and I don't get to start that legal portion of it. So me sometimes trying to be the nice guy has come back to bite me in time. So it's a fine line. And then obviously working with the new court staff, I just had a couple emails back and forth with the new prosecutor. So we're on the same page, and she's going to be getting some work from me coming up real soon. And then obviously options going forward, abatement procedures for non-compliant properties. I'm looking at the grand scheme of why I exist. What is my job? Obviously public safety is the goal, but cleaning up, blighted properties in the city is big. And I think of it from this standpoint. I had a property recently I have a property that's been, I'll be honest, it's one of my biggest headaches. I've had it since day one of being here, and they've been not completely non-compliant. It's never gotten better. It's only gotten worse in my mind. And the house next door was for sale. And I'm thinking to myself when I'm taking pictures a few months back, and I'm like, how is this? Like, how awful is that for the people that are going to buy this new house? They want to come to this new neighborhood, move to Medical Lake, and they're looking at this house next door. So that's my function. That is my goal, is to obviously make a safer city by cleaning it up. And property values are important to me. So I need to work hard in that respect. I think that's very important. Future development, code enforcement's officer safety and legal procedures training is something that's key. I want to keep working on that, and I'd like to get some of the certifications from the American Association of Code Enforcement, as well as the property and maintenance inspector for the ICC, which is the International Code, which kind of falls under some more inspector stuff, but it's good to have. And then we have a couple structures in town that are unauthorized for occupancy. I recently put a notice on a property saying that it's unfit for occupation. That house is one that's being foreclosed upon. There have been squatters going in and out. So it's those types of things I'm dealing with. And that's kind of a new realm for me. So I'm working on learning and how to deal with that, because there's interesting laws surrounding that. Managing my high volume caseload as a 24-hour-a-week employee sometimes can be challenging. And that's just that's the fact of the matter. That sometimes that's the way it is, but I'll still, you know, work as hard as I can, no matter how much time I have during the week. It's just, there never seems to be enough time. There's always enough crime. And then obviously when I just evaluate the procedures going forward, I think at this point I have a pretty good process, and I'm starting to really get a good feel for how to make things go quickly and smoothly, and that's important. Yesterday I finished an investigation, and this morning I was able to do the violation letter, and I was able to get it in the mail today, which was great. So it was, you know, a shorter process for me, which is good because I think I have a good paperwork structure in front of me. Another bonus is that today I had to go to the post office and get a stack of 100 certified letter attachments. So I've used up a full stack of 100. This is the first time I had to restamp them, which is great. So I've spent $1,000 of your money sending letters to this point, which is great. And I'm going to continue to spend that money because, as the mayor said, it's evidence, and we need that evidence going forward. Some of these cases are going well beyond municipal court. They're going to Superior Court because we're going to have to get the sheriff's office with us, other agencies, to go and clean these properties up because they refuse to do it. It's just how it's going. So, click, maybe. Thank you. All right. I don't know. It's not going to play. Can you hit the play button for me? Oh, no, it's fine. Anyway, if you have any questions, I always have a little slide at the end. That's usually a motivational thing, but I thought I'd throw up something that I found online. I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't know there was a theater in Medical Lake back then. What house is that? Because that's on South Jefferson. So where is that house? I don't know where that one was. The Devlish house or Devnish. And there's our train station. And then Camp Comfort. That's Medical Lake, right? Like,
Yeah.
this one? That's not the West Medical?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, and I really want you to reach out to me as city council, send me emails. If you have a complaint, contact me. If you have a case that you want to follow up, I want to work with you on it. And I know some of you have reached out to me in the past, and I want to make sure that we're working together on this, because I do work for the city, and you know, you represent the city, so I work for you guys. I want to get better, but I don't see everything. And it's as simple as, you know, you drive down the street, you know, you've seen something in your neighborhood. And I've had city staff initiate cases for me, which is great. So if you see something, say something, please, and I can do something about it, and I will. So right now I got, I'm going to write about 4 to 5 civil infractions in the next week or so and get those submitted to court. That'll get me caught up on civil infractions, and then I'll have a whole bunch of them. They're going to meet that 30-day line where I have to make a decision as to what happens next. And that's just how it goes. Just snowball effects. Always something new. Every Monday morning I get a voicemail and a few emails for new complaints, and I'm always starting those. So just, you know, how it goes. But is there any questions at all from you guys? No. All right. Get out of your hair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We did play out of
Next we'll do a grant application report, and it's gonna send me to be done.
Yeah, so on page 3 is the grant application, just a status update for you since last time. So this is for April. We had a great meeting. We had some great meetings and some challenging meetings, but the Economic Development Administration Disaster Grant, Mayor Cooper and I, along with our federal lobbyist, had met with the regional office of the Economic Development Administration to better understand the opportunities that are in front of them. We were looking at about $7.5 million project with a variety of different elements. And it sounds like that's challenging for that process. They're used to singular efforts. And so we're kind of back at the drawing board to see what fits best with that before we move forward. So there's a little stall with that EDA disaster supplemental grant. We did get the WCIA $15,000 for the Fox Hollow Trail. So we're excited and we're moving forward, getting that project queued up. Still waiting to hear back on the T-Mobile grant for Coney Island Dock. Fox Hollow Trail resurfacing, we did, always gets right down to the wire, but we got the RCO grant application submitted on time. Now there's a little bit of time for us to get our presentations ready to be able to put that before the board. There's also a technical review period where we'll meet with staff and make sure that we have all the right ducks in a row and all the right documents prepared for that. So that work continues, but we should, I think, I want to say it's mid to late July that we present that to the board, and then we'll find out how we score after that. And I guess, I don't know if we had the chance to share about the good news with the congressionally directed spending, but
We've shared with the council, yeah, we've shared a lot amongst ourselves.
yeah, so we met with, again, with John Colton, Capital Path Consulting, who was a great facilitator helping us with that, our federal lobbyist, and found out that we did make the priority list for Representative Baumgartner's requests, and then it went through initial markups, which is where my understanding that the rookie congressman gets their list whittled down and says, yeah, nice try. Here's what you can actually authorize. His list actually included only 2 projects. It got whittled down to only 2 projects. And the Medical Lake City Hall retrofit is one of those 2. So it's very exciting. There's still whole house markups to go through, but if we can get through the whole house markups, there's a really great chance to get that project funded. It will require a little bit of follow-up, probably end of October, early November, but we would travel back to DC to help meet with staff and refresh that request and make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks through the budget process. But very exciting and encouraged by that news. And of course, we have those requests at the Senator Murray's and Senator Cantwell's offices as well, but knowing that we've made it through the House is very encouraging. And then on the backside, page 4, you can see the active grants. Again, this is just everything that hasn't been completely closed out, little status shot of where it's at in the process. And happy to answer any questions you may have, but I don't want to drum on about them if you're happy.
So much. The work continues. And we'll just keep working for more. Thank you so much, Susan. Okay, we will move on into workshop discussions. The periodic update. This is comprehensive plan part 2, starting on page 5. And we'll have our senior planner, Ms. Rodriguez. And take us through those, the next 3.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
And rubber chickens.
No PowerPoints tonight. Don't be disappointed.
So sad.
So the first item, the comprehensive plan, part 2, draft. So this is meant as a policy document in the future for helping to make decisions. So when you read through this, I'd like you to look through it or look at it critically to know, is this going to be able to help you in the future with decision making? Because ultimately that is one of the goals of the comprehensive plan. I realize we didn't get all the maps completed in time, and some of the maps were less than ideal because we have a consultant working on a transportation plan, and we are still going back and forth with them trying to get that final document, and the maps were not all great. So the ones that have the aerials, some of them are pretty fuzzy, and I apologize for that. We will have better ones in the future. And there are a couple of notations for other maps that I'd like to add to that. So any comments? This is your opportunity, not your only opportunity, but your opportunity to provide any comments, criticisms, suggestions, questions, concerns, anything about this section, this part of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I was looking for that page. It kind of shows us where we are in the process. Is that in this?
You know, I apologize. I put it in the other 2 briefing sheets and I didn't put it in this one. So the comprehensive plan, the process that is slightly different than all the amendments that we're doing to the municipal code. So I take draft part 1 to planning commission, draft part 1 to city council, and I do it again for part 2, part 3. So we're in part 2 phase. So we went to the planning commission at their last month meeting, and they did not have any of the maps. So that was their biggest concern, was they didn't feel like they could really evaluate what was in there without the maps to go along with the language. I have provided this draft to them, and by the time we get to the planning commission meeting this month, I'll have all the maps completed and in there for their review. And I will send an email to all of you at the same time to let you know that I have those complete. Then the next, we'll have the part 3, and then once all the parts have been drafted separately, we'll put it all together as a draft for your review. And ultimately, the planning commission will hold a hearing, and then they will make a recommendation, and you get to hold a hearing. And the comprehensive plan is also adopted by ordinance, like the amendments to the municipal code.
So the updates that we're doing, it's because the state requires it. Is that correct?
Well,
GMA and whatnot requires.
correct. So as I've stated in the past, yes, we are mandated to have a comprehensive plan, but we are putting together a comprehensive plan that serves us. So this does not look like your standard comprehensive plan. It's something that contains all the pieces that are required by the GMA, but is a more useful document for the city of Medical Lake.
And is this your format? Because it's really easy to read.
Yes, yeah, we developed this format.
I really like this one.
Yeah. It's nice, and I like the maps in there too are relevant to.
I do have just a general knowledge question, if you do know. It says here that the pavement condition rating is approximately 65 or higher for performance goal. Do you know what that means exactly?
I just looked at it's the Transportation Improvement Board rates everything. And 65, I believe, the answer. It just puts it in the acceptable. Right below that is
Yeah,
the red. And then it puts it so yeah, in the acceptable level. And then there's higher ratings also. But it's the threshold between acceptable and not acceptable as a condition of the street, essentially.
That's out of 100, right?
Yes, out of 100.
Is it, okay, I think that was my question, is kind of where does that rating kind of like,
Yeah,
where's the best, where's the worst, where is this kind of sitting? Like, how is this rating generally done?
yeah.
Like, is it
Yeah,
kind of
that is determined by our partners at the Transportation Improvement Board. So, and they have a website where you can look at all the small cities. They provide that service. And so all our pavement gets reviewed on it's not quite an annual basis, but they do review the pavement condition and provide that status. And so it's maps interactive maps, you can look and see every section and
yeah, that wasn't a critique of you need to, or I
Oh,
wish
sure.
it was just I was just like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah, yeah.
65. What does that mean?
Random number, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just bit random number thing. I want to know what random number thing means. So that's all.
Yeah, and there may be some more information. I'll follow up on that too, though, just because I know they do have it spelled out to some degree.
I figured that might be kind of the median of what that kind of needs to be. I was just curious what it, kind of what it meant. So
Yeah, I'll follow up with it.
that not necessary. I was just curious if that's what that meant, if that was just kind of like it's a 50% kind of like, what does that mean? Status quo, is it like what's acceptable or yeah.
And there's those pavement condition reports on the TIB website are also color coded, and so the 65 is the yellow. Below that is red. We don't want any red in town, and so that's why landing at that level of service. And then I think there's also green and then there's blue. The blue is like fresh, right? Brand new project, only a year or two old.
Well, everything's been so wonderful. I was not trying to suggest something would be out of compliance. I was just curious what it was, how that was, the rating actually worked. So that was all. Wonderful. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further from council on the draft?
I was just gonna
Part two.
ask questions about but she already addressed the kind of how it's going at this point.
The low quality map.
Yeah.
The quality was kind of like,
Well,
We're
yeah, there's a couple that are particularly poor quality with the bicycle and sidewalk inventory, and that's because the map we were given was incorrect, and so I use low technology to add the correct improvements, but I left a bad resolution.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate the effort and that you did put in what you could and the explanation. That's very professional, I think.
Any other questions on draft part two? We will move on and to the periodic update, the municipal code amendments regarding specialized housing. Something to use.
Okay, so in your briefing sheet, I did add under background discussion where we're at in the process. So instead of doing a slide, this tells you, where we're at, and you can do a quick reference.
Before that, was an emergency.
So the specialized housing is all of the essentially emergency housing, the emergency shelters, the safe parking, the encampments. I guess affordable housing is an emergency, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing. So all those housing types that are spelled out in our RCWs for the state. And we are allowed some leeway if we adopt standards. And so if we don't adopt anything, if any of those come, any proposals happen in town, basically we won't have any control over them. So the language, the proposed language is the little bit of control that we can have over these potential projects. And the language you're looking at has been reviewed by our legal counsel. So without changes requested by yourselves, next time we will see this all in ordinance form.
It's important to know that when we do adopt this, if we did, then we follow the state law and that's it. But with this, it gives us, as Lisa said, control. But in my mind, the most important thing is we can require properties, for instance, that are allowed to set up these temporary shelters or housing to have they'll enter a MOU with us, and they'll talk about security, sanitation, hours, compliance with all the municipal code that anybody in that neighborhood would have to do. And so in my mind, I think that's the most critical piece.
One thing that sort of concerned me a little bit was on page 41. The requirements and the religious organization doing whatever it is. And that says that this will be maintained for at least 50 years, even if the religious organization no longer owns the property. So to me, that means the religious organization church goes belly up, they sell the property to somebody, and whoever they sell it to has to maintain. And I wouldn't say that's a very good selling point for the organization. They have to maintain property for the homeless.
Yeah, that they may find trouble selling something in that condition, so
Yes.
I suppose in that situation, we'd have to get legal advice on this, but the MOU is also gonna, transfer as well. They'll still have to maintain the security, sanitation, and the other things. Especially if they built a shelter, it was an actual structure of some sort, tiny homes or, something like that. And so I could see where that could sell along to another nonprofit or something. Unless I'm not envisioning that correctly, but.
I think that might also that depends if it's going to stay under that housing code of, maintaining a nonprofit or,
An emergency shelter, yeah.
emergency shelter, if that's the property is going to.
Sunny, you have a comment?
So I was just gonna say that this is under the section of affordable housing, so it's not the encampments or the shelters,
Okay,
it's the
thank you.
affordable housing. And my understanding, not that I have all knowledge of it, but my understanding is in these affordable housing developments, the greatest benefit of them is the lasting nature of them. So why we have a demand for affordable housing today is because the market does not allow for it. And so if we have a development that gets the special exceptions for affordable housing and then turns around a few years later and decides they don't want to be affordable housing anymore, we lose that and amplify the problem that we're trying to address with affordable housing. So not that it's a perfect system, but the longevity is just a way to secure that we don't amplify the homelessness concerns by eliminating affordable housing.
I 100% agree with you on that one. If the property does shift over from not being in the affordable housing vector, then that code can definitely be addressed, but then that could be tackled at that time.
Yeah, we adapt and address it as we go, right? So, yeah, it's hard to think about future truth, but it's right up it.
Yes, thank you. So this is the same one that we talked about a couple of meetings ago. Okay, so my first question last time, it read like we did not have an opportunity to reject or modify some of these requirements that the RCWs, which are now listed, thank you, mandate. And that was agreed upon, right? So we don't really have an option.
What is in the language is the most we could do.
And there was in the last draft, a statement in there that said we couldn't make it difficult for
Correct.
them to put a methadone clinic on Lake Street.
Right, so we can't create a situation that basically prohibits the housing. Like, without saying we prohibit it, but we create a situation where it's impossible. So, I'm not sure, methadone clinic isn't necessarily
With
housing,
service.
is
Yeah.
service, yes,
Service.
to go along with housing. Yeah, so it's possible that the methadone clinic could not be allowed in town, but the residents, and I understand the one is like with services, but
Or a shelter.
yeah,
Okay.
shelter services, and yeah.
I'm just clarifying because this update changed drastically from the last time we saw it. Okay, so I went back and I looked at the RCWs, which was difficult, but and it kind of seemed like those are the laws, and then the bills were passed to make it more of a requirement.
Yes.
Okay,
A
But
broader application, right? It made it.
yes, ma'am.
easy.
So-
Yeah.
So then we took those out. So now it kind of reads more generic. And I just want to say again that in my experience, the lack of affordable housing is a factor, but it is not the factor. And I know what the states say. So I did a little dive on that. And it does say the lack of affordable housing, but it says it's significantly exacerbated by mental health and substance abuse issues. And more than that, they hide that under systemic issues and the lack of affordable housing, which arguably they go hand in hand. Okay, so my issue is that it's not that I don't want affordable housing. I want people to have homes, but I want to address the real issue why they don't have a home. And so I did a little more of a dive, and 67% of cities that were asked what their main reason was, or if substance abuse was an issue, stated that combined between alcohol and drug addiction was an estimated 64%. Okay, and 50% of that suffered from a co-occurring abuse disorder. And I'm not disputing anything, except for I really think that's more of the problem. And so what we have is a Camp Hope situation where that did not work. We thought it would work. We thought that it would be a way to give these people a place. So then I found a Seattle council meeting public comment section where a drug addict, a self-identified drug addict and homeless person came in and discussed why he was a drug addict and homeless. And he said, we need to stop enabling. And so these are the real issues. And so my city, I get calls every day on a piece of land that is empty next to my house. So if I sold to somebody that wanted to put low income housing there, this reads that we have to let that happen, right? And I don't want a low income housing next to my home. I don't want that. And I don't think it fixes the problem even for the homeless, is I guess what we're saying. And then that is compounded with the fact that the state has kind of forced us to review and rule or vote on a situation that they've already mandated be so.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
You
say
make,
that out
you
loud.
make a good point, and, you know, we're sensitive to that. You know, for instance, when the city of Spokane thought that they were going to open a homeless, homeless shelter here without services, and so we were able to address that, and we did, pass some legislation ourselves to say that, there's some criteria to meet before you can just open something like that. But the state of Washington is very proactive. These are the state laws, and there were many of them passed this session. Over 1,000 bills passed in a short-term session. There's a majority party that feels strongly about these kinds of programs, and so that's where we are. So we have to deal with life as it is and as it comes. And that's why I think the MOUs, while we can't prohibit it, we can require safe, secure, sanitary conditions so that those living around them are not impacted adversely. So, and those will be coming to council one at a time, and we can have those discussions. We can have the neighbors come in and talk about their concerns, and we can craft an MOU that's unique to that type of shelter, housing, whatever it's going to be in that neighborhood, in that place, and those neighbors. And so we can address, like noise violation, what hours you can do certain things. It's not just a free for all. So I think just knowing that we can at least know when those affordable housing options do come, and then just take those as a case by case basis. And we're pretty limited to some degree. It's unfortunate. Any other comments or concerns, and we'll move on then to transportation. Is there anything else, council?
I
Okay.
think on this one with, I think, Councilmember Abbott, we all feel to a degree, a lesser greater to her frustrations, but I think, adding what we have gives us some, at least a little bit of, safeguard or control of how we can, address these issues on an individual basis. So we have some, I wouldn't say control, but ability to handle things as they come along, as we are forced to adopt and make these changes. So I think you've handled this very well, Mayor, and our city planner has adopted these wonderfully, and had put them in as plain language as possible. So there's no way of getting around them, or they can be used against us to say, no, you can't do that. So I would be okay with how it is now to move forward.
Thank you. Anything further? We'll move on then to transportation.
Okay.
Looking at page 42, my eyes aren't blurry. Yeah,
Yep,
42.
32. So this is our first touch on the package called transportation. If you've read through the briefing sheet, you can see that it's broadened a little bit, but I'm just going to go through briefly the items that are in the briefing sheet that will be addressed when we talk about this again. You'll have some drafted language. So the first is the mandate for parking spaces. So right now our parking spaces are required to be 9 by 18. The state says we have to have a minimum of 8 by 20. So I am expecting to propose 9 by 20 rather than reduce the width of a parking space. I think everyone's content with a 9-foot space, 9 foot wide. It also requires us to allow tandem parking and some grass block pavers, grass block pavers. And if you're not familiar with that, please Google it. They're interesting. They've been around a long time, but they're interesting to see what it is, and we will have to add that to the code. So because we're looking at this and because we've revised districts, zoning districts, our parking chapter where it says how many parking spaces are required for different uses. It's an old chapter with some random uses listed and a whole bunch of uses that are not listed. So we'll be working on language that mirrors the use categories that were in the zoning districts, so we can be more general about required minimum parking spaces, minimum required parking spaces. Revamping that chapter in total and moving it into Title 19. The next item is concurrency. So concurrency is making sure that we have the infrastructure that can support a proposed development. So our state says that things need to happen at the same time. You don't build a development and then catch up with the infrastructure later. Transportation is the only mandated concurrency, but currently our code talks about concurrency for all services and infrastructure. So we'll continue that, but I'm hoping to make that chapter a little nicer to read and once again switch it into Title 19. The next section is commute trip reduction. The City Council adopted by resolution our CTR plan. This is something that is required of us. And so we have it on the books, but we also have a chapter in our municipal code that is out of date. So hoping to take that language out, make a reference to the fact that we have a commute trip reduction plan, and that gets updated on a regular basis rather than having any specific language in the code. The next item is the chapter with private road standards. So we discussed private roads a little bit in this setting, and I think consensus is that private roads benefit the developer and not so much the residents in the city in the long term. So we are looking to remove that chapter. And because removing that chapter is linked tightly to planned unit developments, looking to remove that chapter. So planned unit developments is a term that's been around a long time, super popular in the 70s, where you got large developments with all types of housing and amenities, and typically there are a lot of walking paths, et cetera, et cetera. However, the way our planned unit development chapter is written, it's not really providing that much. In fact, it mostly talks about density bonuses, which I don't think anyone could ever use because of all the natural features we have, like wetlands and basalt. Like they could not meet the minimum allowed, or excuse me, maximum. I'm saying it wrong. They couldn't meet the maximum density anyway, right? Because there was enough land that was usable, and so the idea that we would give bonuses for things like a community center, like, it never came to fruition. So proposing to remove the planned unit development chapter, and what is subbing for that is the cottage housing that was adopted in a previous ordinance to create that flexibility where you can have on a slightly smaller scale, but and only one housing type, but the idea of giving some flexibility for developing sites that are tricky for environmental reasons. So those are the subjects that will be addressed in the language when I come back. Let's see. I didn't put the date in there, but the next time I come back to see you on this subject, we'll have proposed language. In the meantime, it will go to Planning Commission for a public hearing, and you'll have a recommendation.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions about the transportation parking, some of those changes? I went over this with Lisa, and I just agree with it. I just think that so this hit all of the important parts there, and so appreciate your thoroughness there. And yes,
I want to be the ignorant one here. I didn't understand density bonuses completely. Could you explain that just so that I have a better understanding of it?
Yeah, so our code and lots of zoning codes, when it comes to planning and developments, you get bonus density, meaning if you have 10 acres and you could normally build 70 houses, like 7 units per acre, and you could build 70 houses. If you provide some amenity, then you would be allowed to have additional housing. So maybe you'd have 80 units instead of 70 units if you provided, and there's usually a list of things that you could provide. It could be trails, it could be an activity center. Nothing else is coming to mind, but basically amenities to be used in that community. It's not even a citywide, it's a community specific amenity. But that is the reason behind the density bonus. It's you provide extra, we'll let you have extra housing.
Is that more for like planned development?
It's called a planned unit development. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're gonna remove that from the code. Then you are right. That's all right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your work and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commercial kitchen status update. We'll have Mr. Weathers run through that as promised. We're going to take a deep dive here and
Yeah.
where we're at with the kitchen and answer any questions you might have.
There's a briefing sheet in your packet on page 44, but I have lots more detail to share with you. This is not a name that is determined. It's just I was wanting to be more creative than the City Hall commercial kitchen. And so this is not determined or settled. It's just something that I did to be fun. So but I want to start with just the fact that the commercial will start with where we began, right? Commercial kitchen remodel is intended to expand how the City Hall's auditorium serves the community. The upgraded kitchen will support senior and community meal programs, its facility rentals and special events, cooking classes, and recreational program, and a potential food business incubation and local economic activity. In addition to supporting regular programming, the upgraded kitchen and facility play an important role in disaster recovery efforts by functioning as a temporary community support and resilience space during disruptive events. And you may recall that Avista, we have an agreement with Avista for any power safety shutoffs that happen, that this would be a community resource center for that.
Where is it?
The auditorium is just the room next door where Jazzercise happens, and then and then the kitchen is right on the other side of this wall. So in between the auditorium and city council chambers. So where did we start and where it started and where are we now? What was planned was city council authorized this project through the fiscal year 2024 capital improvement plan, recognizing it as a community investment aligned with recreation and wellness and economic development goals. An architect was hired to complete the initial design and engineering in February of 2024. It did take through October to get all those details decided. Once we had designs in hand, the construction RFP was published early November with a deadline of November 26, 2024. We got 3 responsive bids. The project was awarded to WFGC via resolution 25-730 on January 7th, 2025. And it was expected to proceed under a traditional general contractor model with substantial project completion by March 15th of 2025. What actually happened was that some design alterations were made that resulted in delays. The contractor introduced change orders due to prevailing wage requirements and construction conditions that couldn't be fully identified until they began the demolition. Equipment was purchased in October of 2025 once those design considerations were finalized, and work was scheduled to continue in November. The contractor failed to perform in accordance with the contract requirements and was formally declared in default in January of this year. To avoid further cost delays or further delays and cost escalations, city staff assumed direct project management responsibilities and shifted to a multi-contractor delivery approach where we were coordinating the specialty trades. Why it happened that way is because staff prioritized financial discipline and product quality to reduce future risk and uncertainty. So early in the process, the construction details were reviewed more carefully, more closely, and it became clear that several elements required clarification or refinement to ensure that the final kitchen would meet the operational needs and our code requirements and long-term use expectations. And those refinements resulted in amendments to the original scope and the supporting documents of the kitchen. While the amendments added time on the front end, they were intended to confirm that we would get the right equipment and layout for the kitchen, that we would clarify mechanical and electrical and plumbing requirements prior to beginning construction, and that we would ensure compliance with health, safety, and building codes, and align the design with how the space would actually be used, not just a really cool looking kitchen on paper. The contractor default was based on non-performance and had nothing to do with design flaws or funding shortfalls. As for what we're doing, this is a layout overhead view. I have an elevation view too. So, but the equipment includes core food preparation and cooking appliances such as a convection oven, a gas griddle, a 4-burner hot plate, a planetary mixer, all providing flexibility for meal preparation and instructional cooking, and large batch food service. A heated holding and proofing cabinet allows prepared food to safely be staged and served during high volume or extended operations. To meet health and sanitation requirements, the kitchen is equipped with a 3-compartment wash sink, a single compartment preparation sink, and a dedicated hand washing sink. All those are required to meet code. And an under-counter high-temperature dishwasher with integrated water filtration. So all those systems support efficient cleaning and food safety compliance and repeatable daily operations. Cold storage capacity is provided through a 2-section reach-in refrigerator and a 2-section reach-in freezer, which support both routine program use and expanded food storage during emergencies and special events. And an under-counter ice machine with integrated filtration supports food service and hydration and event operations. The package also includes the stainless steel work tables and equipment stands and wire shelving and storage elements to allow adaptable workspace configurations. So if we're using it for cooking classes or catering or temporary food distribution setups, it can do all of those things. So here's the elevation. It also includes critical life safety and building systems, which are part of the equipment scope, such as a commercial exhaust hood, a makeup air unit, a demand control ventilation, a class 1 grease ducting, and a UL 300 fire suppression system that ensures the kitchen meets fire, mechanical, and health code requirements. Installation, design verification, delivery, system commissioning are all included to ensure the equipment's operational and ready for inspection and use. Overall, the equipment package represents a comprehensive commercial-grade kitchen build-out. It's scaled to meet the city goals for community use, resilience, and long-term operational reliability. And here is the money slide, the process, project status. All major kitchen equipment has been purchased, and equipment installation will be handled by Spokane Restaurant Equipment. Trades that are currently being coordinated include the plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and roofing. So those are all in process. You can see the green check marks here are the things that have been done. The little yellow circles with the arrows are things that are in process. And if it doesn't have either of those, it's something that we're planning for right now. All the major kitchen equipment. Oh, I already said that. The remaining work is well defined. It's sequential. It's manageable under staff coordination. Based on the current scope of the remaining work and active coordination with the specialty contractors, we're targeting project completion by August 1st of 2026. This timeline reflects what we believe is a realistic assessment of the work that's outstanding, the availability of the trades and the required inspections, while allowing sufficient time to complete the project correctly and safely. There still is coordination and inspection dependencies that are outside of our control that could affect the timing, such as contractor scheduling conflicts, workforce availability, and sequencing. But we're actively managing those risks to complete the project responsibly and avoid any further delays. Looking at the budget, the commercial kitchen project was originally budgeted $270,000 based on early planning assumptions and preliminary scope. Of course, once we got the design complete and we got the construction bid awarded, estimated cost for construction and equipment increased, bringing the project to a total of approximately $305,000. And of course, you'll remember as demolition began, the contractor prepared for full construction. There was additional change orders, like we mentioned earlier, the prevailing wage requirements, and to address unforeseen construction that couldn't be fully identified until the space was opened up. Those factors, and you may recall, it came in at about $418,000, and we said, no, thank you. So we discussed different ways to cut down on the scope and make the project more manageable, which led to a projected project total of $379,000. But at present, what you see with that pie chart, there's just under $83,000 in ARPA funds that remain assigned to the kitchen project. And staff is actively coordinating the remaining work to complete the kitchen within the remaining ARPA allocation, which avoids the need for additional funding and would result in a final project total of just under $305,000, which is what council last authorized for the project. A successful outcome delivers a kitchen and a facility that are code compliant and functional and ready for immediate use, and while supporting the broader goals that originally justified the investment. So from a functional standpoint, the project will be complete when all construction work has been finished in accordance with the approved plans. The required building and health and life safety inspections have been passed. All commercial kitchen equipment is installed and connected and tested and fully operational. The supporting systems, such as the electrical and the plumbing and the HVAC and the gas and the ventilation, are performing as they're designed, and any punch list items have been resolved and documented. And at that point, the kitchen won't be a project anymore. It'll actually be a working asset ready to support programming and services. So operational readiness, what we're shooting for with operational readiness means the facility can be opened and staffed and used without interim fixes or temporary workarounds. That's the goal that we want to deliver. And it's to ensure that the city can activate that space quickly for planned programming or emergency response. So happy to answer any questions you may have. I can flip back to any slides if you want to see them for further
That's
discussion.
great. Thanks, Sunny. Any questions from council? Thanks. I think that was thorough, and I really appreciate you taking the time to refresh our memory of the process what got us here. And some council members came in midway, and so hopefully that took away some of the mystery. Anyway, I just really appreciate you bringing that, because I think that's what everyone wanted to see. And then what you'll see, council, is we've talked about the contract for Erin Bishop and the work that she'll do. And we are looking now at the difference between getting some legal and because Washington State's very exact on what's a contracted employee, what's a W-2 employee. So we're going to define those things that we're asking her to do. And when we come back, then she'll come. You can interview her, but we'll have a clear idea of what's contract work and what's employee work. And so we're in the middle of sorting that out and make sure we land in the right spot and don't get in trouble with state of Washington with HR things. So, but anyway, appreciate you taking the time to listen, and thanks, Sunny, for taking us for a thorough review there. So we have some action items, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. This is approval of the April 21st, 2026 minutes, found on page 45. Any changes or additions to the minutes?
To approve.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Members who are present. Approval of the May 5th, 2026 claim warrants number 53668 through 53711 in the amount of $247,239.66.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any comments from council, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then public hearings, we have none, and no executive session tonight. Move on to our resolutions. These have all been workshop. Please feel free to ask questions. I will start with resolution 26809. This is Waterfront Park property transfer MOU. We worked with the state of Washington, got their draft, sent it to legal. It's come back, and DSH has seen the MOU. Sunny, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that, but
Oh, yeah, so last time we had some red marks in there from our legal edits. DSHS was in agreement with those, so this is the finalized version. And basically will give us a chance, approval of this resolution positions the city to move forward with the next steps and secure the long-term public ownership of a very important recreational asset.
Move to
approve.
Mr. Kennedy,
On
then
page-
we'll come to you, Councilmember Spears.
On page 54, the last sentence of number 7, I don't think "of the" is a word. I think it should be "of the."
And space,
There'd be a space in there.
number 7, last sentence.
Thank you. We'll make that correction.
Anything else, Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Councilmember Spears.
I just wanted to get some clarification on, so page 52, on item 2, where it talks about the running trail as an easement. Since I wasn't here last week.
It's the unfortunate, that's the way the appropriation was made from the legislature. And we'd asked for a transfer of all the land, and it came through the language as a transfer of all the other property except for the trail being just an easement. And so Sonny can add to this too. We got advice after working with our legislators and legal. Let's move forward with what we have now, so we don't have to delay, get ownership of all of the land that's been given and promised, and then we'll go a second round and ask for the gifting of the land on the trail. So it'll become 2 parts, but we'll have an easement. We'll still maintain it and use it the way we always have, but
Yeah, that, my question was, what's our rights? What rights do we retain as an easement?
And that'll be defined through that process. It'll be a very, it'll be a legally heavy process to define that, to meet the interests of both DSHS and the city as far as how that goes. But
Yeah.
I think from our perspective, an easement can suffice, but we'll want to limit that to the ground underneath the trail. And if the trees fall on the trail, it's not the responsibility of the city to address that. Our easement is for the trail and the use of the trail. But all those kinds of things that'll be the discussion.
I didn't want it to run into an issue like we had last time where we had trees that had come down and then we had to wait and wait.
Yeah, right.
So,
Good point.
ways where at some point the state's like, oh, well, that Medical Lake maintains the trail, and they expected us to clear all the underbrush and cut the trees, and anything that happened, 50 feet on
Right.
either side of it, Medical Lake to the rescue. And so it's like, well, actually, that's not our land, and we would like to own it. And so now we're in that tension space, and all that will be defined. But we will. You'll be hearing about it along with us as we move through that process. Our intention is that we would own it with a pretty sufficient, maybe 200 feet, so that's the Shoreline Act. So, and in the future, that it would be a boundary line adjustment and not just an easement. So, but for now, we have to move forward with getting the land transfer.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the trail.
And that easement as a legal document is between the city and the state. And so you'll see that easement language
Yeah.
And authorize it as we get to that point.
okay.
Good question, no, thanks for pointing that out, so they didn't want to discuss it. Any other questions in on that?
I'd move to approve resolution 26-809.
second.
Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that unanimously. Council members that are present. Resolution 26-810. This is a service agreement with Image Engineering for the water main improvements. We did workshop that last week, and our engineer Tom Haggerty was here. I talked about that along with that. Any more questions about that work and what it's for, or anything in the agreement you see that wasn't. Was for 48,000 for the design fee proposal. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion if you're ready.
Move to approve resolution 26-810.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, and then the last serving resolution 26-811. This is a printer lease and service agreement with the Canon. Starts on page 54. I can attest to the boat anchor that we've been using for a printer. It's gonna end up costing us the same or less than by the time that we get the service agreements less than the one we have, and they're going to take the old piece of junk, give us a new beautiful machine, but it also, because it's a Canon, the print quality as we're moving to brochures and newsletters and things, and our Park and Rec quarterlies, so we're really excited. But and I want to thank Colton too. He did the research on all of it and gave a thorough presentation on all the ones and the advantages, and we landed here, and then the service company really reached out in a great way and gave us the right price. So we'll just be about the same place or less than we have for a piece of junk. So I shouldn't say it like that, but it is.
Yeah, it's through a state contract, which is great. And so it really does simplify things for us quite a bit. And the cost is slightly greater than the lease agreement that we have for the existing machine. I think $30 a month is the difference. But Cost wanted me to remind everybody that we did actually put in the budget that there really are no budgetary concerns with this, because number one, we did put $10,000 in the budget to purchase a new printer. This is a lease agreement, so it's not we've got plenty of room there. But that $30 difference in the lease agreement is easily going to be made up for the fact that the service agreement, the per copy price is lower, and so we're actually probably going to net positive. We're going to end up paying less in this overall agreement for what we use. And then just not directly related to this, but just so you're aware, this turned out to be such a great scenario that staff will be bringing back recommendation for similar agreements at maintenance and at wastewater treatment. So we will be cleaning up a lot of the printing woes, that the things that we've done at City Hall. When we were done with them, we passed them on to our satellite locations, and so they've faced those frustrations, and we're
Down if you're a brother or sister.
All right, move to approve 26-811.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Right, resolution 26-811 passes unanimously.
Didn't want to just go over to the library and start printing.
Our 380 pages.
Yeah.
They got good services.
Ordinances, second read of ordinance 1146 relating to the sale of Craven products. I do, Mr. Colt, would you be sure to put in the minutes, I don't know if you did already, that our attorney has been present for the entire meeting, so he would be one of those that was present. He is present online, and so the council, if you could please read the title.
Thank you, Mayor. City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, ordinance number 1146. An ordinance of the City of Medical Lake, Counties of Spokane, State of Washington, adopting Title IX, Chapter 9.21 of the Medical Lake Municipal Code relating to the sale of Kratom products.
Thank you so much. Am I opening a hearing on this ordinance, or do we just move straight to discussion and a motion, council?
Can just move straight forward to discussion and a motion.
Oh, thank you so much. Any discussion that we had? I guess I have one thing I would like to discuss, and is we pass this, council, can you tell me what, how long before this takes effect? Is it a 5-day ordinance, is 30-day ordinance? Can you tell me, there's a penalty, and I think that dictates the effective date.
Sure. I believe it would be a 30-day ordinance.
Okay,
But it's not specified in the ordinance language. I do know that, we received some inquiries today on the related to this ordinance that myself and Mr. Baus, the other city attorney, quite frankly, haven't had a chance to get to and can sparse out the compliance and warning period and include it in a different version of this ordinance, but the timing is not specified in the ordinance as written here.
I think that's determined by state law unless you set a different effective date, but
Sure.
the question that I asked, and the council's referring to is, so we have folks in the city that are selling products, so we passed it's 30 days, we're not gonna go and start, you know, so I asked, what's the proper way to manage this, that we give notice, you know, we talk to them, and we let them know it's a 30-day ordinance and that there's some discussion and opportunity for them, as a business to move that out of their, stock or inventory, quickly, but, that we're not just going to, go in, you know, in a super aggressive way. So anyway, we're just trying to get some guidance on how to navigate that best with them. We have 30 days. We'll post that in the paper, social media, all of that. And then we'll
Yep.
also have legal, maybe a note, a letter sent to those businesses that are selling. So I'm not sure exactly, but just so you know that we'll manage that in a cordial way, but then, you know, expect full compliance. At some reasonable, you know, period, so
Fantastic.
anyway.
But to answer your original question, it is a 30-day ordinance, if I didn't
Thank you.
specify that.
Thank you so much, and we will notice that in our local paper, so. Question,
I had an opportunity over the weekend. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Last Week Tonight. It's the John Oliver show. It's on cable, so it's not like family friendly, right? They curse and other things and give crude examples, but they do a really good job of doing documentary style with humor. They go deep dives into things, and so last weekend was actually on Kratom products and related products, right? That are commonly available at gas stations or rest stops or wherever. And so they had a lot of good information. I took a lot of information from it. I'm very happy that we are doing this.
too.
There are other products that are on the shelf right next to it that I talked to Sunny a little bit about, but I also wanted to talk to you, Mayor, about the individuals that we're working with, that whoever gave us a heads up on this, right? If we want to stay in continued communication with them, because this is going to be a moving target, right? As soon as one of these items gets voted down, gets a majority of either outlaw or pushback or something, the people that make these are going to make something different. And so we want to make sure that we're staying on the ball. I'm just kind of saying it to the council too.
Appreciate that a lot, and I'll tell you that, so in my career, you know, with the court system, the synthetic drugs was something we always had to stay ahead of. So like in our personnel policy, we will adopt, you know, that Kratom is one of those things that's banned. We'll test for our CDL holders, you know, employees are not to use. And we're going to create a schedule so that as the new synthetics come about, so back in the day, you know, was the ecstasy and the spice, and you know, I mean, there's always a new derivative of some plant that they synthesize down to very potent and toxic high, you know, and so we'll just have to keep our finger on the pulse on what's happening. And so this actually came out of other concerns from other communities about the effects, you know, on the youth in particular in their community that had access to it, but it came to our attention because we were concerned about CDL holders. and that it is an impairment. And so we want to be sure we have that as our schedule and our personnel policy. So, but anyway, we're aware of it and I agree. And as we hear of these things, then we're going to, and law enforcement are usually the first ones who know about, so what's the new synthetic and, what are they on now and who's selling it? And, it's
Yeah.
usually on the street before it becomes a commercial product. And so anyway, we'll be very sensitive because it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they went down as journalistic, right? They went down to a convention because this isn't like it's not like meth or fentanyl, or it's not like a shadow organization of a bunch of people that start in a garage or whatever, right? There's conventions, these are commercially made products, right? And people are making tons and tons of money off of it. So there's a huge incentive there, and there's marketing, and there's new flavors and colors and all of this. So it's one of those things, and they're looped in under the it's labeled as a dietary supplement, which under FDA is an exemption. You don't have to list the products, the contents of it. So you can sell almost anything as a dietary supplement, right? You just have to say dietary supplement, not made to treat any disease or any known effects or ailments. That's how you can sell vitamins. That's how you can sell other things, right? So just be on the lookout for it, and people in the community, right? Kids can get it right across the counter, right? So, I mean, it really opened up my eyes as to how easy some of these items are.
And when it can be, you can take the product off the shelf and then you can synthesize it even more, and it's more deadly than fentanyl.
Yep.
And that's what will happen on the streets, is they're gonna make it more potent.
Yep.
So, it's just the next thing, but I'm really proud of you, council, for passing, getting this to the second read. I think it sends a strong message to our community that we're protecting our kids. We know, we're aware, we care. And we're gonna be on the cutting edge of watching for the new stuff coming. So I really appreciate it. So.
I'd move to approve ordinance 1146.
Well, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. With those present, ordinance 1146. Thank you so much. No emergency ordinances or upcoming agenda items noted. Last opportunity for interested citizen comment. I see no one in the room, but is there anyone online? This would be your opportunity. Going once, going twice.
What do we do about number 15? Chad's not here.
Chad's not, I guess
I'll move to conclude.
you're so great.
Second.
Oh, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much. And I'll be looking forward to reading up on your year-end or I remember this one was budget, the final
Oh, the
budget.
budget.
Annual report.
So many numbers.
Had a headache all afternoon.
So
I have-
many.
So, all right. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Did you hear anything back from the Safe and Healthy Task Force about small city representation? No.
Should I have?
Oh, I just